Today, I'm taking a year's worth of paper scraps and transforming them into art. And I'm going to show you exactly how to get remarkable results no matter what type of scraps you have to work with. Join me as I share one of my all-time favorite techniques. I'm Jackie Bernardi, and welcome to my studio. This piece has been a work in the making for over a year. And all I'm doing with this piece is creating a highly visually textured background by collaging layer after layer of scraps, just scraps that I have from my painted papers, and I'm getting them onto this panel. Now, I'm going to take you through the whole process today, but all I have been doing for the past year is whenever I have some leftover scraps and some leftover medium, I've just been putting the scraps down onto this hardwood panel. This panel is a 36-inch by 36-inch birch panel. And I'm just using, I have two of them, actually, two of these panels. And on both panels, I'm creating this background. I think it's going to be a background. We'll see when it's all said and done. But a, a background that just looks very textured, but is actually completely smooth to the touch. So to get that, what I'm doing is I'm building up many layers of these scraps, and you'll see how I get to the smoothing process. But for right now, what I'm using is gel matte medium. Normally, when I'm collaging, I use regular matte medium, not the gel version. The only reason that I'm using the gel today is because some of these scraps are very thick pieces of paper, and some of them are very thin, and I don't really want to fight with the thick pieces of paper as I am laying down these collage pieces. So by using the gel matte medium, it's a thicker viscosity than regular matte medium, and it does a better job of holding thicker papers. Now, I'm also thinning out the medium for some of the papers by spraying a little water on it. So if you use a gel medium, just know that you can thin it out for lighter duty papers if you want to by spraying some water on it. And that's what you saw me do there. That piece of paper that I just put down, that blue and green one, that was a piece of medical exam paper, actually, and it didn't need a heavy duty gel. And also, I just didn't want to put a ton of gel down underneath and over that piece of paper. But I'm going to continue layering up, and it really doesn't matter where you place these scraps, right? It honest to gosh does not matter for the final result. It's just an exercise in building up layers and trusting your process, right? So this purple piece of paper, I love this. I only have a few scraps of it, and I may put some more of it in here. But what I want to say is you get far more interesting results from this technique by using just a wide variety of papers. They do not have to look good together because they will look good together ultimately. So don't worry about the types of papers that you're using. In this collage right now, I have magazine pages. I have this piece right here is a piece of heavy duty watercolor paper, actually, that was painted, and I had some scraps left of that. So because this is so thick, I'm glad I am using some gel medium to hold it down because it would want to curl up otherwise, right? So again, like I said before, I don't want to fight it. But I've got watercolor paper, I've got medical exam paper, I've got tissue paper, I've got copy paper, I've got newsprint, I've got just about every type of paper that I have represented in this collage. And it doesn't matter the colors, it doesn't matter if there's handwriting on it or if there's text. It's all going to look fantastic in the end. You know, when you see one of those billboards or yeah, billboards, I guess is what I want to say, that has many over the years, many different postings put up. And as it's been torn down, it gets those gorgeous layers of texture that you see underneath. That is the intended effect that I'm going for today. All right. So some of these papers, like the medical exam papers, will go completely transparent when you use gloss medium. So what you just saw me put down a moment ago is some actual just plain gloss medium. It's not gel, it's just gloss medium. I put the gloss medium down first, then that piece of green and gold paper that I put down, I sprayed it with water, and then I put it wet down into the wet gloss medium and then covered it with more wet gloss medium. That will make the paper go completely transparent, except for the paint, obviously. And it does a beautiful job of showing the layers below it. So as we work through this process, different layers of this collage will reveal itself until we get oh my gosh. I get very excited about some of these pieces of paper, I'm not going to lie. And the reason for that is as I put this piece of paper down, first off, it's cut in an interesting shape, whereas almost all these other pieces have been torn. But not only is it cut in an interesting shape, there's the little hole punch cutouts that once I start doing um, parts of the process later on, that's going to make a really visually interesting effect in the final collage or the final piece. This here is from a gel print stencil that I did. Again, it's on the medical exam paper, the crepe style medical exam paper. I will link to it in the description. I will also link to the video that started me off using the medical exam paper because it makes me so happy. So I'll link to that. I'll also link to the video where I started this wood panel. I put out that video, gosh, about a year ago, and it was how to prepare a wood panel to be used in art. But also, I went in and I created the base layers of this collage. So you will be able to see this project pretty much from start to finish if you watch that video after this one. And again, it's listed down below. As you can see, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm not trying to make a composition out of these papers at all. I am literally just putting them down anywhere that feels good to me, right? I'm not worried about colors not working next to one another. I'm not worried about, prints that look good next to each other. It just doesn't matter. Like this orange piece that I'm putting down right up against that lapis blue. Um, Lapis blue and pink and green. Like it's a weird combination, but it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter, and you'll see why shortly. So, yeah, I think I'm at a good stopping point. What I need to do is I need to let this dry and dry completely. So I actually took it outside and let it dry in the sun for a few hours, and now I've brought it back in. And what I'm going to do now is a little technique that I like to do to ensure that I get the maximum visual texture out of this as I possibly can. All right. And I'm holding off on telling you what I'm going to do in a minute, but just trust me, what I'm doing here is going to totally enhance everything that happens later. So, what I did was I sprayed the entire panel with a fine mist of water, just plain water, and I used my fine mister to do that. So it's just a little bit of water. Then I used some of this Mars Black acrylic paint. This is just the Liquitex Basics, nothing fancy. And I'm spreading it with my Catalyst Wedge. And you can see that as I move this paint around this panel, it's thinned out quite a bit, but what's really exciting is the paint is getting caught in the edges of all these scraps of paper, and it's making it look so much more rich and intense with texture, right? Just look at that. Like, oh, it's a little bit gritty, but it's really making the variations in the textures stand out. And that's exactly what I want at this stage. It's also helping you see how much actual physical texture is in this piece right now, right? If there was no physical texture, the paint wouldn't be getting caught up in anything. It would just slide right off of the panel. So this is just a way to show you um, how much actual texture is there right now. But that's not why I put the black down. I put the black down because I do want it to enhance and come through when I move into the next steps. Now you can put on as much or as little paint as you want at this stage in the technique. You don't have to use black. You could use any color. You could use a metallic. You could use my beloved Nova Super Pearl Gold. You could use whatever you want. Also, you don't have to use anything, but I think when you see what happens by putting, particularly a darker color down, I think once you see what happens ultimately, you'll understand why I chose to use color instead of just leaving the panel as it was. So again, have to let it dry completely. And because of the way I'm filming this video, that would not be ready in time for me to get it done and post this video. So this is the second wood panel. And this wood panel has been through the exact same process as the first one, okay? Including the black paint put over it and so on. That's what you're seeing there. I didn't use as much black paint on this one, but it doesn't matter. So here I have my orbital sander. I love using this thing. I'll be using it on the giant oyster project. I'm using it on this. I'm going to show you how I'm using it. So you could have a palm sander, a square one. You can have the round orbital like I do. If you use a sander that has an attached vacuum, like this one that has that little vacuum in the back, you want to make sure that when you put the sandpaper on your tool, that the holes in the sandpaper match up with the holes on your tool. Okay, that's important for the sand. Otherwise, you'll just get dust everywhere, which is also okay. You can clean it. But all I'm doing is I turned on the palm sander and I'm not even pushing down on it. I am just moving it around the surface of this panel. And what it's starting to do is it's starting to knock down the texture, right? The buildup of all these scrap layers. And it is creating it all as one layer. But because there were so many layers built up, as you sand them down, some of the papers will reduce, some will just thin out. And what you're seeing there, kind of that whitish look, that is where the sander is removing not just paint, but the paper. And it's creating this incredibly cool blending visual texture. You'll see in a little bit as I move my hand across it that this will be perfectly smooth when I'm done with it, but it will look like it has intense texture. And why that's important is, let's say I'm going to do a painting over this, right? I don't necessarily want the paint in the painting to get hung up in all these layers of texture, but I might really want to have all these layers of texture as a background. So this is how you get the best of both worlds. It's going to take a minute to sand it so that it's smooth because, like I said, I've been building up layers on this for a year. I don't know how many layers I have there, and I'm not trying to get rid of everything. Like I wouldn't try to sand this to the wood level, uh, but I am sanding it until I get a smooth surface. And I know that I have a smooth surface when it runs over it. It's not catching any more paper. It's not changing the color or the blending look. By the way, I wanted to mention the grit of sandpaper that I'm using at this stage is 120 grit sandpaper. And this is just I think it's a DeWalt sander is what I have. You you just might want to know. I know some of you will ask in the comments, what's the grit of the sandpaper? I'm using 120 because I did use the gel medium, which is a thicker medium, and I don't want to spend all day sanding. This is not quite in real time sanding, but it's pretty close. I'd say I spent maybe a total of mm, 10 minutes sanding, right? And as you can see, as I continue moving the sander over, it keeps breaking down the papers, but it doesn't eliminate the papers, right? I mean, look how cool that looks. Now, right now it's a little bit dusty, and so I'm going to have to fix that as I run my hand over it. I can tell it's dusty, and before I do anything else, I definitely want to clean that off so that future layers of paint or medium that I might want to use on here um, will adhere properly, right? So I'm just taking some paper towel and my continuous spray bottle. I'm going to spray the entire surface with a fine mist of water again, and then I'm just going to wipe it all down to get all the dust off. And this is perfectly smooth. Like as I'm running my hand over it, there's no variation in texture from all of those beautiful papers below. And yet it looks like it's incredibly textured. And the reason why it really looks like that is because the paint, the black paint, settled into all the nooks and crannies of the paper and it stayed there. Even though I was sanding down the layers of paint, the black made its way down through the layers, and that's why we're seeing that texture so vividly. Now that I have it sanded and I've cleaned off the dust particles from the sanding, I'm going in now with gloss medium, and I am using gloss medium on purpose, and I'll explain why. You could use matte medium if you like here. You could use a varnish, like a satin varnish, if you like. Um, but the reason why I am using gloss medium is for a couple reasons. I want to protect the way this background looks right now. Okay, so I'm putting down a layer of clear gloss medium. Oh, it looks so good too because the gloss really pulls the color up from the depths and makes it look even more intense. That's one reason, is to protect it. The second reason is when I want to paint later, if I make a mistake with the paint and I want to wipe it off or get rid of it, by using gloss medium, it makes it really easy to do that. So, pro tip there, gloss medium is awesome. And then I can go back over it later and completely reduce the shine by putting a matte medium or even an ultra matte medium over it if I wanted. Right? So this is just a holding layer really for what I decide to do next. So this is just my happy place. I love doing this technique. If you've never tried it, go ahead and try it. You do not have to use a palm sander. You can just use a sanding block. It's just going to take a lot of elbow grease. The palm sander makes it easier. But look at that. How cool is that, right? Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, honestly, I could put this on the wall right now and be happy with it, but I think I am going to use it for a background. And look at how beautiful these papers turned out. And like even the little rounds that I stuck on there, the rounds stayed, but they completely blended in. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and you'll be notified when the next video comes out. This is the video I would watch next.